Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the OpenStack Manila PTG. So this is first the first PTG of the Bobcat cycle. In this cycle, we intend to have kind of two PTGs. This one that's a virtual one, and like the second PTG is supposed to happen in Vancouver in June. So the alongside with the Open Infra Summit. So we'll have another PTG that could come up kind of like uh, a mid-cycle. So yeah, so this is the first virtual PTG. We will follow the same pattern. All of the sessions are being recorded. So for today, Monday, of this PTG, we will be starting as usual with our Manila retrospective. But first, I would like to walk around the room and start by asking people's names and having that introduction round so we can kind of break a bit of the ice and try to get to know a bit of each other. I know there are familiar names on this call, but yeah, there are also some new names, so everybody got a chance to introduce themselves. So I can start with that, and then I can start going around the room and asking people to introduce themselves. So first, I'm Carlos. The OpenStack Manila PTL. I've been working with OpenStack for about like 4 or 5 years now. Most of this time I've been working with Manila. I worked on a couple of features already. I made it to the core team a couple of years ago. And since then, or since I started contributing, I kind of fell in love with this community, and I know and with all of the opportunities I started getting with it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having this very productive week with you. And yeah, I think that's basically me. Um, Next, Gautam, could you please introduce yourself?
Hey, yes. So my name is Gautam Pacha Ravi, and I'm a software engineer working with Red Hat, and I've been contributing to Manila for several years now. I think my first contribution was back in the Mitaka cycle, although I was probably reviewing code in Liberty or something. But that's ancient history right now, I think. But part of it, part of this long journey has been that all of the present code base, I think, has seen some or the other major impact. Uh, you know, uh, by by me being either passively or actively trying to break it. So that's a little bit. You would have seen me on on code reviews and things. So I'm very passionate about working at this community, and I'm very glad to be working alongside people like Carlos, who care a lot about not just the code that we're producing, the product that we're building, but also the people that build this. So looking forward to a great week.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, Vida, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Um, I um, I work for Red Hat. My name is Vida Harrian. Most everybody knows me by V Harry. I've been in the community for about 4 years, working on OpenStack storage, primarily Manila, and I currently reside as the bug czar of the community, and I've been managing the bug backlog and bugs, and been contributing to the weekly um, IRC meetings, manage the bugs with hoping to improve the quality. I'm a big quality advocate and mostly um, also user advocate. So I love to help work with everybody to improve the quality and be a part of this community.
Awesome, thanks, Vida. Felipe, can you go next?
Yes, for sure. Hello, everyone. I am Felipe. I work at NetApp, and I've been contributing for OpenStack, I think, since 3 years ago. And yeah, I've been part of several PTGs. So I hope we have a nice PTG during this week. Good discussions, and yeah, that's my introduction.
Great. Thank you. Kaique?
Hello, guys. I'm part of the NetApp team as well. I've been working with NetApp team and OpenStack community for about 2 years, I believe. And it's great to be here, and I hope that we have great discussions this week. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks. Nain?
Hello. I'm Nain. I'm working with OpenStack for a couple years, I think. I am also from NetApp team. Most of the people in the call, I believe, they already know each other. But it has been a great time working with you. Hope we have a good PTG again. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Elena?
Hello, I am Elena. I'm working from NetApp. I work with OpenStack for 6 months, and this is my second PTG.
Awesome. Good to have you here. Looking forward to having a couple of more discussions with you, NetAppers folks. Next one, Lucas.
Hi, Carlos. Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Lucas. I'm work at NetApp too. 1 year. Have participated in other PTGs, and I'm excited for another one. This is it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Luisa? Okay, yeah, but we can go to the next one and then we can get back to Luisa after. I don't know if there might be audio issues. Okay, next one would be Mateus.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mateus, and I'm working with NetApp about 1 year. And it's been a huge challenge to me, and I'm enjoying it a lot. That's it.
That's great. Thank you. Hina?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rena. I work through NetApp Team 2. I've been working in this community for about 4 months, and I hope you can enjoy this event.
Awesome. Yeah, glad to have you. Thanks. I think, yeah, Thiago.
Hello, Carlos. Hello, everyone. My name is Thiago. I'm working with NetApp folks too. I'm an OpenStack developer for about, I think, 3 months. This is my first PTG. I think I'm the rookie here, so there is a lot of new things I'm learning. I'm getting used to, so I'm excited to get part of this more and more. I think it's that.
Awesome, thanks and welcome. I hope you enjoy the first PTG and too many more to come. Okay, I think Luis, did I call you already? I don't remember.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
So hello everyone, my name is Luis. I'm also from the top team, and I've been working on OpenStack Manila for almost 1 year, and this is my second PTG. I'm glad to see everyone here again.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think we covered Yep. So Luisa, I think Luisa might be back. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, guys. So my name is Luisa. I work also with the NetApp team. I've been on the project for about almost 2 years already. So this is not my first PTG, but I'm really glad to be part of a new PTG again. And yeah, this is pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think we went around the room now, and we kind of know a bit of the names and everyone that's participating. So usually it's kind of a tradition that we'll start with our retrospective for the PTG. And for this retrospective, we usually like to take a look at what was done during the previous cycle, which was Antelope, and check on how we could improve or what went well or anything that we would like to discuss. So the first couple of minutes, we usually will take to add a couple of bullet points or a couple of things that we would like to discuss during this call. So I think we can have like 10 minutes and then we can get back to the discussion, and we can also take some action items so we can try to move forward with those things during the next release cycle. So yeah, I have pasted the Etherpad link to the chat. I'm gonna paste it again just in case you weren't in the call yet when I did. So please join the Etherpad and add your names in the attendees part, and then we can start adding a couple of things more to discuss what's to reflect on the previous release. Okay, so I'm stopping sharing for a bit, and then we'll be back in to discuss these things. I think, we could use like some round time. So it will be in 8 minutes, right? How does that sound? Okay, let's do that then. Okay, so we are back. Thank you for adding a couple of topics there. I think we can go through the list of things that we have to do and try to take a couple of action items over those things and see what we can do to improve moving forward to the next releases. So yeah, let's start first with what went well. And thank you everyone for adding a couple of items here. So on the first item for first of the items for what went well, the first thing I would like to highlight is the collab review sessions that helped us to speed up the review process. This is something that we have done in the past and that we strongly encourage, especially when we have some sort of like a huge change coming in, or sometimes when you have like a change that you need to add some context or something that you'd like to explain how you're doing something, because that can really help the reviewers to basically try to understand what you have been proposing. So that's one of the things with this. And for this cycle, we had like major changes coming in, for example, like the REST changes for the NetApp folks. And it was great to have those sessions, mostly because it's good to have the context that you guys have to provide to us, and it's good to hear from who wrote the code, because I mean, you can guide us to the through the decisions you made, to the architecture that you are proposing to the code. So that's really important and it's highly encouraged. So if you have changes coming in, doesn't need to be that huge of changes, like the NetApp changes were thousands of lines of code. But if you have a change that you would like for us to, as a community, to sit down and take a look at your decisions and try to make it kind of a design session and try to gather some feedback quickly from the reviewers, it's highly encouraged that you go ahead and talk to us and schedule one of those review sessions, because it's very useful for the reviewers and for a community benefit in general. So it's not only about like the thing is very it's very powerful if we start to think about it. So yes, that was one good thing that happened, and I hope we can continue doing more of that. If you, it doesn't actually need to be like closer, that close to the feature freeze to. If you have a feature or something that you would like to gather feedback, please let us know, and then we can schedule that. You can send an email to the mailing list, or checking out or check out with us when would be our availability. Is there something else you would like to add to this?
No, you got the thing across pretty well, Carlos. The only thing I did want to stress on is, I guess, did we miss any collab reviews for things that could have, been faster if we had a collab review? Perhaps because I think we did one last cycle on the NetApp stuff, which was especially important given that the reviewers were not familiar with the way the new REST API works, etc. And so I mean, even if it, I mean, like the initial push was definitely something we got from the collab review, which clarified many of the doubts, and then the rest of the things got repetitive. So which was nice. So that's the sort of thing that you would expect collab reviews to even bring out, right? Like present the author's perspective a little bit more than what the code can itself do, and all the documentation that you can possibly add in line to the code and stuff like that. So is there anything that we missed perhaps like that? Because we did push on a few features to get merged at the end, but I know we didn't do collab reviews for those. I don't know if we would have benefited by having those. And more, I'm looking at, like, for me, the NetApp collab review helped a lot as a reviewer. The others, maybe my little familiarity with those features I didn't really care for it. But did anyone else feel like if we had collab reviews on something else, we would have had a better, you know, better way to review those things?
Well, I'm wondering if for a certain to review certain code, maybe we need a different strategy for code review. And the reason I'm saying this is because we did have a review, collab review of the RBAC test strategy and some examples. And we even had, followed up with a hackathon. Still, yeah, those reviews are still not as desired. I mean, they're still being reviewed, but not as much participation as we could. And I can't pinpoint what might be the issue. Would love to discuss about it and see what people, if they have looked at a code, get some feedback. Like, was there some questions? How do we improve maybe strategies to use during the collab review might be an option. So just a thought there.
Yeah, agreed, Vida. That's a pretty cool this thing. Yeah, that I forgot about the collab review because it happened earlier in the cycle. But that again is one more problem. I think I forgot about the patches themselves too, and partially because we were chasing other things in Manila itself, right? Like Manila Tempest plugin. If you don't see those patches often, or there was any follow up or sorts. I mean, personally, I felt like, I guess, at re-reviewing those patches and things. But maybe if we had surfaced those issues that, these patches are languishing without reviews, that would have helped.
Yeah, could be. Or, I mean, the general thought was did we miss something during the collab review? Could we have done something in the collab review to make it, more, invite more people to contribute there? to review. Yeah, just strategies um, how to set up and share information during the collab review to welcome all levels of participation. I think the reason I brought this up is because the idea initially was that the code is repetitive, it's the same, oh, it's simple, but I think maybe part of it was missed. So what do we miss? How do we improve the collaboration, share information to encourage more people to look at the code? So this is not trivial. It's just question is, how do we make it easier, communicate this better to improve the collab review impact on people that want to contribute?
One thought is if we can do this more often, I guess, then maybe it becomes more familiar. And I mean, so we have, I mean, right now, like about 14 people on this call, right? Like technically, we've seen many of us in multiple calls and stuff like that. But when it comes down to reviews, there are some things that we're comfortable with, and so only a subset of us will be participating in those. So, but if it were to happen more frequently, maybe the familiarity will increase, as opposed to, like, the collab reviews are like an event at the end of the cycle, driven by the person that's writing the code and just participated by the people that are reviewing the code at that point. Whereas throughout the cycle, we don't like do any of this kinds. The RBAC one was a difference, because we kind of used it as part of the hackathon, or to lead the hackathon. But maybe like that, but more frequently, even without a hackathon that comes at the end of it, but with the goal of raising familiarity and breaking ice, getting more people involved in conversations and reviews rather than just a small subset, if that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, that might be good, especially because we're having like new community members, every so often. So yeah, it might actually be good. That's a good idea, Gautam. And hope
Yes.
that people don't think of it as another item to their workload. It's sort of a assist in community building and improving skills kind of thing. So
Yeah, no, it sounds good. Thanks for bringing this up, and also thanks for the suggestion. I also agree that doing this more frequently could be helpful, especially if we want more people to know more parts about of the code base. And yeah, it's always great to take a look at the people's code of point of view in the code. So yeah, it would be great if we could do that more often. We could take this as an AI and try to work on a couple of dates for this next cycle so we can get some progress on this. Yeah, that sounds like a good AI, at least for me, and we can talk dates as soon as we take a look at the agenda and we can propose that. How does that feel?
sounds good. Another option for this might be because we every week with the community we share reviews needing reading, I guess, community participation. We could add these particular to the reviews needing, and during the there's a session that we have for reviews needing attention. We could add particular reviews that have been languishing to that list. Be a little more expansive.
Yeah, that also feels good. I think that could even become like a filter on Garrett that we would have on that list, and kind of like have a topic on the focus etherpad saying reviews needing attention, and then we would filter out like for the changes that haven't received a lot of feedback since like X amount of time. So I think that could become a Garrett filter. Yeah, I think this would be really useful, as we already touch on that every single week.
Awesome. Thanks, Carlos.
Awesome. Thank you for the suggestion, Vida. Okay. And this, both of these can be AIs for the next cycle. So yeah, for the we can work with these, and I can try to create the filter and add it to the next cycle's review focus etherpad. So we have this covered. Okay, next topic is hackathon for our bug tests. Yes, it was good. I brought this up in the opening for live last week as well, and they were happy that we did this, and they even suggested that it would be a good opportunity for other people to take a look at these and try to push on on some goals with this approach that we had, like with the hackathon. So yeah, it was great. There are a couple of changes still open for this topic. So yeah, that's another area that we actually need to get a couple of more reviews. But it was great to see all of the progress that we did. Is there something else you would like to add?
Nope. I just like that we continue to have that level of participation with it. That's awesome. I guess we're deriving different things out of it, which is what which is what is keeping the participation up.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to see the participation indeed, and hopefully you get this increased cycle after cycle. Yeah, great. Next one is on what went well is bug squashes and bug management activities. So yeah, this is great. I mean, we had Peter's amazing work again on this, so it's always great to see like the work that Vita do as our bugs are. And also like the way the backlog's being managed and all of the stats she provides to us. So yeah, thank you, Vida, for the work on the bugs management and the bugs are role. Yeah, is there something else you'd like to add to it?
Well, yeah. So every every PTG we talk about new things new ways that we improved. You know, bug management, improving quality, that sort of thing. So for the past couple of PTGs, we did start adding themes to our bug squash and hackathon. Like for example, for the bug squash this time, we focused on reviews. Because there was a backlog of reviews, and even though there was the incoming rate for new bugs wasn't really much, the uptick was a few bugs, but we can, just review and see where to focus our attention on taking care of the bugs. And this time we focused on reviews, and a lot of people participated. So this bug theme has been, I think, good because it focuses the community attention. That's a good thing. Another thing was that we started tracking the stats. Certainly at the beginning of a cycle and at the end of the cycle and even mid-cycle. That way we can kind of track and see where our bug management rate is. That's been really helpful. So I always have these stats available. I have been sharing it with the community from time to time, but pretty much as far as the bugs for the Manila, some of the projects like the Manila UI have been pretty steady. Python Manila client has been steady. We haven't had much change there. So it's easy for community to focus on Manila Tempest plugin. And I just wanted to share some numbers with you guys. I'll put them up on the board too, but at the beginning of the cycle, we had, for example, 58 new bugs. Now we have 67. So the numbers are pretty manageable. And if we stay on top of them on a weekly basis, we can really make an impact. So just wanted to kudos to everybody in the team and the community.
Nice. Thank you. And thanks for being innovative and consistently, bringing in new things to, manage that backlog. I mean, the number doesn't scare me, that, the number of new bugs increased and stuff like that. But I'm glad, like, part of the reason why I guess people find it motivating to even open these bugs is that they see that these bugs are being acknowledged and worked on and closed, actively, as opposed to, there was a time when, bugs were just getting stale and we weren't paying too much attention, and stuff like that. So this is a much better place to be in, even if the numbers are really high at the moment. But again, like many of these bugs are new and we're closing the ones that are around. And if there are ones that are left behind, we have those strategies that you put in place that just automatically go in and close them. So I like that, we're on top of this. And
Yeah,
thanks.
Sure. Well, the other thing I wanted to mention is like on a weekly basis, when there are weeks that we don't have any bugs coming in, we take care of the sale bugs now, and we creatively try to improve improve our quality by using the community participation. So for the past several months, we've been actually reducing the stale bug list as well, because we focus on it on a weekly basis if there's no backlog. So we're always looking for these strategies to improve, and anybody who's interested can contribute, of course.
Yep. Thanks for the updates, Vida. Yeah. Also, as Gautam said, like the increase does not scare me as well, because I know like it and it's also good to see that other people are coming up to the weekly meetings trying to discuss the bugs that they are opening. So yes, let's keep trying to make some progress on these bugs and bring them up in the weekly basis. So yeah, great. Thank you for the good work.
Sure, and thank everybody for participating. And one more reason not to be scared of these numbers is because the total overall numbers actually includes wish list, all types of bugs. But we always prioritize the more important issues like high, medium, and try to take care of those. So, like for example, last month we had 3 doc bugs that again, we're addressing them in another section here. So it's more important to see what are the quality of the bugs, what type of impact those bugs make in the code. We are always focusing on the most important, obviously, priority bugs. So that's the strategy we use. It's nothing to be scared of. We just discuss it as community and take care of the pressing issues first.
Yep. Thanks, Vida. Okay, so we can move to what did not go so well over the last release. Yeah, I've copied a couple of the topics that we already had in the planning Etherpad. This is one of them, the first one, which is documentation lacking for several new features. Yeah, I think this relates to a couple of features that we have been merging, and the documentation wasn't submitted. So I mean, it's it's not usually great to have like a couple of new features and do not have the documentation for them, because I mean, we expect, or we know that administrators and users are using or checking out the new documentation we post for admin guides, for deployment guides, or all of the documentation we maintain. So we had several new features being added, but like a lot of them did not have the documentation necessary, which would be like admin guides or user guides. So yeah, Gotham, would you like to add a couple of more things? I try to make like only to introduce this, but yeah.
No, yeah, makes sense. And yeah, part of my issue with it mostly is that you'll realize it much later that that's missing docs, and then it's just forgotten, right? Like at that point. And if the author is not the one adding the docs, it's actually pretty hard for somebody else to come in and fill in the gaps. So I suppose, like, when you're adding a new feature, think of the docs right at that time, because it makes it a whole lot easier for the rest of the process at all. And I don't know, I guess I want to know if there is something stopping us from doing that. One is, yes, like I understand that some docs are easier to write, some are pretty hard, like you might have to think a lot about user docs and stuff like that. But some of the missing documentation, like the API reference, that one should be straightforward and easy to write and get in along with the main patch, and which is kind of what we've been trying to do from, like, I don't know, since several releases now. So I guess we should probably hold ourselves to higher standards at this point and ask for the API ref each time the API is being modified and adding this thing. It's not going to be popular in the sense authors might be like, yeah, we'll follow up with it in the next batch and stuff, in another change and stuff like that. But since that's not happening, I guess we just should, probably insist on it from the get-go in the main patch. And if the user docs, the admin docs are missing, that's now, yes, something. Again, if you're writing the feature, you know it the best, and it would be great if you can follow it up as soon as the features landed and stuff. But I guess we can at least get these small wins, right? Like getting the API ref right. Does that make sense? Like, is there any other way to think of this, I guess?
I think it makes sense, yes. And yeah, for the API, I agree with like trying to make that part of the main patch, especially because when you are proposing APIs like that, it is a kind of expected that we are testing those things. And the kind of most painful part, I would say, for adding like those APIs is actually trying to collect the output of like the request and what's going to be sent the request, what's going to be sent the response. And you can easily get that when you are testing that change. So you already have your environment ready. You already have everything that you need to propose those docs. So getting the samples and trying to define the parameters and adding the documentation doesn't feel that bad. And I don't think it would add that huge of a workload, because I mean, you've worked on the feature already, and it's just like a tiny bit that you need to add to that too. So I think it would be, and again, like you already stated that it's easier for us to forget those after we merge the changes, and it's also like hard for someone else to go ahead and pick the changes because I mean, there's a whole different process for setups and so on. So yeah, I think this could be something that at least for the APIs, like we could try to make them try harder to make them part of the main change and try to get them ready alongside the main patch. So we would already like release something that has the documentation and you can at least know how to interact with that API.
Yeah. Definitely. And having it missing is going to affect something else, like, somebody else following up, writing the client work, or, going and adding code elsewhere, like OpenStack SDK and stuff. Because then they would go do the wrong thing in case there's something changed in the API behavior, but it's not documented in the API ref. So yeah, so I guess let's probably, when we're doing any API patches, then insist that the API ref is done. And I don't know if we have to go change something in the developer docs for this. I think we already called that out. We just haven't been enforcing it.
Yes. I agree, yeah. Does someone else would like to add something or to talk about this as well? Okay, so let's try to enforce at least like the API part and try to follow up with the other documentation like right after we release the code, because that way like no one will be lacking documentation and people could already start interacting with it without like needing to try to figure out how this is supposed to work, because documentation is supposed to help in those scenarios. Yep. So next one, release and support confusions. Got the.
Oh yeah, so this one we'll be a little more familiar with because it just happened recently. So one other thing that we've been doing, because we have been getting so slammed with reviews at the very last minute, is that we've been letting the client patches merge after the release, and it's a conscious decision. It used to not happen a lot like this before, but of late we've been doing that every single release, where we have released the API changes, but we wouldn't merge the client because the client has a feature freeze. Actually, the client's release happens on the feature freeze day for the main server. And we have these feature freeze exceptions, which will allow the server-side changes to merge maybe a week later, maybe a couple of weeks later. But the client is done for that release, and we wouldn't backport features to that release and so on. And so we had this issue with the share network subnet metadata, right? Recently, where somebody, I mean, there was hoping that the client changes land alongside the server, was actually confused by why we even let the server finish merging, but we would not let the client changes merge. But and so I guess that's the reason I put it down here, saying we understand what we're doing, and are there objections? Are there suggestions to do something better? And is this, I mean, was this caused by some confusion through the release cycle itself? Did we do something different and wrong this time, which caused that whole issue? And I'm guessing Felipe is on this call, and I'm not spoken to him after aside after the Manila meeting. But Felipe, do you have any inputs?
Yeah, I got your point, Gotham. I think you're right. There's some confusion, mainly because this difference of the time of releasing the client and the server, and sometimes we get in the situation that we have just 1 week for merging patches, so we get feature freeze exception, or we try to speed up the things, and the client we couldn't, so we end up leaving the client for the next release. And it's a bit complicated because the customers, they cannot run only with the API, REST API reference. Some of them can, but most of the customer expected that we have a way of delivering the feature on the server and the way of delivering the feature on the client as well.
Right.
But yeah, I think the action item, or it's more about deliver the things earlier, probably. Yeah, we need to review earlier, and mainly the features that bump the API, and that's the problem, because we are delivering the server in the API, I don't know, 70, and the client's delivering the 69, 68. So the client seems it's been a long time I've been seeing this. The client is behind the server.
Right.
And
Yes.
I think it's just more about make the things delivering the fix earlier, and probably review earlier, and also make sure that the impact of leaving this client for the next release. This is important. And yeah, I think we have the policy, and this is totally clear. So yeah, I think that's more about organization, what I mean.
Okay, so you're saying like we don't really need to change anything, as such. I don't, even with the thing that the questions that we had, I don't feel like our policy was wrong in terms of allowing the server side patch to merge. And I have multiple reasons to strongly think like that, right? Because one is we were working through some issues in the server, and we needed to get that feature freeze exception. So I'm glad you asked for that, and I'm glad, like, Carlos found it okay to extend the feature freeze except this thing for that particular patch, for that particular feature, so we could get it in. And part of the thing is also that it comes with API changes, database changes, RPC changes, etc. That if you really think somebody really wants it in a particular release, having the server released completely makes a whole lot of difference for that particular user, as opposed to missing the client changes. And the reason I was also thinking on that is the client is supposed to be running anywhere, right? You could even be running it on your laptop and hitting a cloud, or some other place completely, which is not on the same machine as the server is running. And so you have a lot more flexibility to work with your clients. And so you can always run the latest client against an older server, or an older client against the latest server, and so on. So if you did miss the client changes, you'll just go ahead, merge it, release another version of the client, and somebody can use the next version of the client instead of the older version of the client that shipped along with the server. But it's just that the distros also have this inflexible policy of shipping major versions of the client with the same major versions of the server, and so on. And in this case, I think the question came from Canonical, and Canonical is not alone. I mean, Red Hat does the same thing as well. So I guess some of our thoughts are not translating into the reality over there, partially because there is this thing we don't control, that is how distros decide to ship the clients. But that's where I'm kind of like still, I'm not sure if we should change our policy. If we did take a feature freeze exception for the client, we are going to run the risk of other projects that rely on the client being broken. And there are other projects that rely on the client, such as even in our own space, which is Manila UI, relies on the client. So if we don't ship the client and start testing and using that particular client, we wouldn't even know if Manila UI is all right or broken at the end of this release. So we give ourselves those few weeks to ship with this, to test with a stable client, and ship a working version of the service project, which is Manila UI. But theoretically, there are other OpenStack projects that will import the client and run that risk as well if we push the client release a little bit more.
Perfect. I think that, can you see any workaround or some action item that we could like avoid this kind of issue or make it clear? I know, because yeah, I think this is just about the way the things works, and yeah, we need just to organize yourself.
So if a feature is adding anything and changing anything to the API and will impact the client, we should be aware and tracking this several weeks before the feature freeze. And we kind of are, like that's the whole point of that feature proposal freeze that we impose on ourselves. But at that time, we should probably be like, okay, you know what, this is at risk of hitting the client, and the client's not going to have support for this feature if at all we don't merge this and stuff. So I guess reevaluate and start, adding a higher priority to those features to get them reviewed. And if it's going to miss it, we should know it much earlier than we do at this point, which is at feature freeze week.
Agree.
That could be one AI.
Yeah, I agree.
I have nothing else, I guess. Like besides, if everybody here and everybody that's watching this later agrees with the community's way of shipping these things, we just continue doing what we were doing. Just that this is just an education thing, that the client is viewed in a particular way for us. It is not the same as, we don't ever do feature freeze exceptions with the client, because it's less risky in a way that a feature slips from the client.
Nice.
Awesome. I actually stop here because we've gone over, I think.
Yeah, we've gone like 5 minutes over. I hope it is okay for everyone to stay. I checked the agenda, and there is no one like that has a meeting in this room, so I think we can continue using the room. Sorry for running late, but yeah, there are a couple of items we would like to discuss here. Perhaps like one AI for next year would be to try to book more than 1 hour for the retrospective, because it usually takes a little bit more of time. Okay, sorry for running late, but yeah, if you'd like to stay and if you have the time to, please do, and then we can go over the next few items that we have here. Okay, so next thing that went really well was we wrapped up an outreach internship midway. Yeah, this is something that happened during this cycle. So we had one outreach intern, and we had a couple of issues during the internship. And then like we needed to terminate the internship midway, and we didn't get like some of the features we wanted completed. Features we wanted completed with that, I mean, there's something we have been pursuing for a long time now, which is implementing share network subnets in the Manila UI. That's an action item for us for a couple of releases already, and we have been trying to push on that. In the previous cycles, we had some interns from North Dakota State University working with us. They managed to wireframe and to start already creating a couple of things for those panels and workflows. We got kind of halfway through, and one of the ideas for this internship we were having was to try to get moving on and trying to get that important feature merged, so we could have decent progress in it and unblock the other features for Manila UI 2. We could try to continue getting more things in. Manila UI has proven to be a bit more challenging to onboard and testing people. So yeah, it's something that we have been pursuing for some time, and yeah, we have a couple of features incomplete. There are a couple of patches up on Garrett proposed for the shared network subnets. If you have if you are interested about that and would like to get to know more about our user interface, please reach out. I mean, if you have a dev stack and like you have Manila UI installed, or if you only have like a resource to play with it, it will be nice. I don't know if some of you already had any sort of contact with it, but yes, you don't have only the CLI to use to interact with Manila. We have the Manila UI as well, which is a Horizon plugin. And then that's kind of the visual part, like the front, so-called like front end that we have to interact with OpenStack. And that is needing a bit of love from the contributors. So if you are interested about that part and you would like to go get to know more and work a bit with that, we would be happy to guide you and to help you. Yeah, Gotham, do you have something else to add to this?
No, just informational, right? Like the outreach internship. I guess this was our first experience with something that ended midway. But I mean, looking forward to the other internships that we have going on in this cycle, and the upcoming one, hopefully that we can get another outreach intern to go work on another feature. But yes, Manila UI needs some love, and it's getting the attention it probably deserves at this point, in terms of we don't really see a huge number of people asking for a lot of features in the UI. We see bug fixes here and there, but it was something that the community just wants to keep advancing. So if anyone's interested, I mean, that is some place that we can definitely use some investment.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for adding this topic here. And yeah, we can chat more about that over the course of this week. But yeah, it's kind of more like information, as I said. And last item on the list is on this list is short of reviewers. Yeah, this is something that we have been struggling with for a couple of cycles now. And like, I mean, there are many lines of code to merge at the end of the cycles. And sometimes like we are experiencing a shortage of reviewers to go over the changes and help with like reviewing and testing and getting those changes moving, getting some feedback for those. This is kind of like creating some sort of reviewer burnout to the reviewers that are actually that are currently viewing the changes more frequently. And I mean, we have been pursuing ways out of this for a couple of times, but I think we have kind of a couple of questions to ask also in the discussion points. And again, like if you are interested about like joining the core team, or if you are interested about like getting to know more the Manila code base and to help out with this, please reach us out. We will be happy to guide you. We had some sort of mentoring going on for a couple of cycles now. Like I'm one of the success cases of the mentoring that we did. It's not formal, but we try to guide you through the code base and try to add you to reviewers that we think it will be useful to get you started, to get you to know the code base. So if you're interested on that, please let us know, like anyone in the core team, and we will be happy to help you. And that also, like, I don't know if there's something else someone else would like to add this, but that is also combined with like the discussion points we added there. Is there something else you'd like to add now? Okay, hearing nothing, then I'll just proceed to the discussion point that we have here. Like there are two items, but I think we can combine those. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, Carlos. I don't know. I think like personally, my experience with reviewing is kind of hard when the patch is like medium to large. I don't know, like maybe other people feel the same when reviewing. I know you said like for people who want to get in the core reviewing, but I think like maybe there is a way to get more people to review without becoming core reviewers or such, like just becoming more active in the community, reviewing stuff. And for me, like what is personally hard is to review things that are outside of the NetApp scope. Sometimes like it's hard to understand, and I don't know if there's a way that we could think together to overcome this, like I don't know, maybe doing some gathering, discussing things. I don't know, maybe, you know, thinking of alternatives to help people get familiar with things. And yeah, I don't know if you get what I mean.
I do, and I like that. Thanks for sharing that, Luisa. And I guess that was kind of what we discussed even last, retrospective during the last PTG. So it is code familiarity, right? And and you're not alone there, and it's not because you work more on the NetApp driver and stuff. But if you really look at it, this is complex code for anyone. And there is probably no one on this team that can do every single part of it. And many a times where if I'm looking at new code, I'm confused many a times. So I would like for the way one way to build things probably is to share what we know. And so I guess we did suggest that last time, saying we can do code walkthroughs. If I don't know if we can attempt that, and we can see if we can ask the question, has this been helpful? And we did that, I think, with the RBAC test, right? And the goal over there was, oh, let's get some more people familiar and do a hackathon together. But even without a hackathon in the picture, if somebody wants to understand how things work with the API, what is, like, maybe there are conventions and stuff, without having to read the code and implement it and stuff like that, it probably helps to have like a code walkthrough.
Yeah, there's something that Vita mentioned about setting some goals to achieve while reviewing. We actually try to do that, like checking if there are release notes and if the commit message is okay and everything. And I think maybe like I believe there are some other patterns that we could look for while reviewing, apart from these technical ones that we already do, that could help the reviews, you know, like the shortcuts, like, oh, look for this, look for that. Usually the problem is here, and so on. Like this would be very clarifying, I believe, like for everybody.
Exactly. No, yeah, that makes sense. And we used to have like and it's probably written in a different way. We used to have a list, and that list is on the developer ref, saying this is what a good commit is, like, it has this as a checklist of things that you need to have, and that's what reviewers used to enforce for the most part. But if we can cut something like that, that's another thing that uh, as a reviewer that is starting to review things, you can actually start identifying those patterns easily, because you now know, and it's a shared understanding between all the reviewers, that these are things that we're all these are not automated tests of any sort, and these are conventions that reviewers are enforcing and things like that. That would be easy to make, right? Carlos, we can actually start like an Etherpad or something and convert that into like a doc at the end of it, because I guess we'll each have different things that we're looking at that we can go add and collate. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree with that. And thanks for bringing this up. I think it is, it's good feedback we can provide some docs like this. I was looking at some things that we have already, and yeah, there is I think I found what we call like the review policy for Manila, but there is like a pointer to like other OpenStack code review policies and guidelines. But yes, I think we could try to make this be a little bit more specific.
Change the
And
perspective. I
yeah,
think like from a reviewer, what would you look at rather than from the author, what we are what we're expecting.
yeah, sure. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, cool. That's just my input. So thanks.
No,
Awesome.
thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Okay.
But I'm also interested in one other thing, though, Luisa, if I can pick your brain for a little bit. You said, if the goal was not to be a core reviewer, so I'm trying to understand that a little bit. Is that what, like, did I put that right? Were you saying even if you didn't want to be a core reviewer and wanted to help out, it's actually challenging? Is that what you said?
Yes, exactly. Like I believe everybody can contribute with reviews, even though like the person doesn't have the goal to become a core reviewer or be a part of the core itself. Like not even becoming a core reviewer, but being like more active in this part. But like apart from this, I think everybody can help. Like
yeah,
it's just a matter of giving the directions. Like I feel like people would like to review more because it's helpful for everybody and the project and so on. But sometimes I just think like it's very complex to analyze the code and not even knowing how to test and everything, because sometimes you just analyze changes that are, I don't know, like out of your scope of knowledge and so on. And then like it's just like you said, like getting the standards, like what a reviewer would review like first and what are the more important points and so on. So I mean, that's what I mean, like.
Yeah. Agreed. No, yeah, makes sense. Just wanted to understand the part about the non-core reviewer part, but yes, that's kind of what we were going for as well. Saying, the core reviewers have a little bit of a responsibility beyond this stuff, but the community cannot just be run by core reviewers, right? Like it's.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. And so we should be getting everyone in this in the same whatever of reviewing. And because we should probably make it look fun as well.
That's actually a really good point that you brought up, Lisa. I personally, it's, just reviewing code has also helped my coding skills, like basically learning to read code and is a really good skill. So you don't have to be like an official reviewer, right? A core member, but by reviewing code, it totally adds to your coding skills. Even testing, like, would learn how to test the changes, how to look at the infrastructure, the gates. There's a lot that you can learn just by reviewing code. And there's plenty of people in the community who are willing to help bit by bit. So it just makes you a better engineer.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback as well, Vida. Yeah, testing is and was and is something I always try to do with changes, especially when I was not very familiar with some, because I kind of always have one dev stack around just to test a couple of changes, and that could be one way to provide feedback as well. Like, for example, let's suppose there is the case for the share network subnets metadata in the last cycle, and we had the client changes, we had the API changes. If we have a dev stack around, it's usually very quick to just check out to the change and try to run some commands and see if that's operational, if that's working just fine. I try to do that a lot, especially for some changes that I don't have much of the context, or they kind of have a bit of documentation, and I just like try to see what's going on. And I found eventually I found a couple of bugs trying to use that approach as well. So with that, like when I had the bug, I saw like the issue showing up in my environment, and I would go directly to one point of the review, or and try to point that out and try to say, look at this, please take a look at this, and it failed in my environment. This was the scenario I tested. That's also helpful if you would like to take a different approach to that, because I mean, sometimes it's a bit difficult to just get the context, especially if it's a large change. But if you get the purpose of that, like for example, it's adding a new API that I'm supposed to transfer shares between projects, for example, and I don't have all of the information on the details, testing is also a good way to provide feedback. So, and also helps like other reviewers to take a look at this, and they'll say, oh, okay, like Luisa tested this change, and I'm more comfortable merging it because I know like that there are more test scenarios covered. So that's also something I try to do. But yeah, but also like it's good to have people's feedback on this. Of course, we'll be happy to work on this. These are very important um, things raised. Thank you, Luisa. But is there someone else that feels something while reviewing code? Like, is there something else keeping you from reviewing code? Like, okay, could be anything else. So we are here to listen to you and try to make this become like more inclusive, and try to get everyone to feel comfortable with reviewing the code. Okay, like crickets. Yeah, it's good to hear the feedback. Let's work on this action item. I'll detail it more here after the meeting. But yeah, like I had a couple of questions here. One of them was kind of like what we already just got into. Yeah.
Just a thought, basic engineering concept, you break down big, complex problem into pieces and you work on it. So how about for collab reviews, we focus on some small changes as well. Like maybe if we focus on a collab review for a small code change, that might, and then just break it down, that might be another way. Just work on small as well as complex projects, because a lot of the collab reviews in the past I noticed involve large changes. But how about if we do include small changes?
Yeah, I think that would be really great. It would help with the frequency as well, which was something that we spoke about too, like in the beginning, right? Which is trying to make those events like the collab reviews or things more frequent. So yes, I think this could also benefit when like talking about this, like on getting the reviews and trying to get people more familiar with reviewing code. Yeah, and thanks for the feedback, Vida. Okay, is there someone else that would like to add more feedback on this? Like, is there something that keeps you from reviewing code? Like, please, it's open for you to talk, so we can try to address whatever it is that would be keeping you from reviewing code, or something that makes you not feel so comfortable with reviewing, and that keeps you like from actually doing it. Okay, so it's a bit of silence, but you can also, and like, please feel free to add the feedback here. It's, I mean, it's great that we had like some feedback on this, so we can take some action items and try to move on from this and try to make everyone feel more comfortable with it. So yeah, thanks everyone. We had some action items from the previous release here that I think it's basically a couple of things that we have already discussed during this meeting too, which is like code walkthroughs, like the themes for bug squash thing we did for the last cycle as well, where we had like one bug squash theme that's like getting things done, like focusing more on the changes that are open and in progress. They already have fixes proposed and they were waiting on review. So yeah, it was good to get that moving. So collab reviews, also something that happened. And yeah, recording dev setups and code walkthroughs with interns for the benefit of the new contributors. And yes, we had this idea in the past, but this came up again over the last week with one of the applicants we have for Outreachy. So the idea is that the applicant was, or most of the applicants usually find difficult to do all of the setups, like with DevStack and the accounts, and trying to test bugs. How do I restart the services? How do I get my fix applied to the code? And how do I test it? So all of those questions, they come up very frequently. And it would be nice to have like a common place where people could check on it. They could go ahead and take a look at what's the guide. So it could benefit not only like the newcomers for OpenStack, for example, or for the community, but it could be helpful for newcomers all around OpenStack. Like if there is someone joining the NetApp team, they would benefit it. If there's someone joining Red Hat, they would benefit it from it. So from every affiliation we have, like if there is a guide that we have for setting up DevStack and restarting the service for someone that never got to know the code base, I think this would be useful. And that's something that we really want to work on. So the idea is that we would have a series, like some sort of mini course of videos that we would host on the Manila YouTube channel. And it could be like very small videos, like how do you set up DevStack? And then another video for how do you test your changes? How do you set up your accounts? How can you apply your changes? How can you write the fixes? What's the code base look like? What does the code base look like? What's the structure? Where does the API code reside? What's the scheduler? What's the Manila share? Like whatever. So we would like to put everything, all of that into a series of videos. And it would be nice to have like input on that, because I think that will benefit not only Manila, it can benefit a lot of other projects. If we think like in a context that DevStack usually the people setting up DevStack for Manila will set up DevStack for Nova. They will set up DevStack for like onboarding on Cinder. So if they have that guide, then they could like have only some nodes. You can send that information to people and say, oh, this is gonna be like the local conf you're gonna use instead of the one that they are suggesting. So that's something that has came up recently. We see the struggle sometimes from people trying to set up DevStack and get moving with OpenStack, but we think this can be a very nice idea that will help a lot of people. So yeah, that's something that we intend to work on soon, because we believe that this will be of help for like a very long term. So yeah, more on collab reviews. We spoke about this earlier today, and like write down our current bug management and bug SAR processes and find a new bug SAR. Yeah, this was one of the action items we had for the last release. Maybe something that we can continue pushing for this next one as well. So, okay, is there something else you would like to add to today's meeting?
Carlos, just one thought about the micro training. You know, so aside from the video, which are very, knowledge-based transfers, another option might be just to release snippets on how to, documentation versus video, because there is some processing time with video, but sometimes if you just look at steps, like cookbook style, that might be faster to bring people on board on different things. Just a thought on how to share knowledge with different methods. Video is one way, maybe using just documentation is another way, but in snippets, not, massive documentation, just little blurbs here and there. How do you set up your dev stack, and then boom, boom, boom steps with examples.
Yeah, that is a great idea. Yeah, this could be helpful, especially if people don't have access to YouTube, right? So yes, I agree with that. This would be really useful. We can try to make it like the both of these approaches, work on them like parallelly, and try to get, maybe we can try to like create a summary, and out of this summary or out of this documentation, we do this series of videos, because I mean, both would have the same structure. And then if you prefer watching the videos, fine, then you watch the videos. And if you prefer just like reading the documentation and doing it alone, you are free to do so as well. But yeah, great idea. Thanks. Awesome. So we are 35 minutes past the hour. Sorry for that. But yeah, I think it was very productive, and it was great to hear your thoughts over this retrospective. So is there something else you would like to add to this meeting? Okay, hearing silence as no. So yeah, I'll stop. Before I stop the recording, I would like to possibly take the. I can leave the team picture maybe to for later in the week, or we could do one now and another one later in the week. How does it sound?
Sounds good to me. We did lose a couple of people, I think.
Yes, we have 12 participants now. We had 14, so yeah. Okay, so I'll stop the recording.